I do feel that a lot more people are single by choice. If you go beyond like swiping 20 minutes or so, you start to get fatigued and then you start to swipe away profiles that you would in person actually may have accepted.
Yeah, and there's always like the caption like, get you someone who looks at you like this, or like me and my child, or something like that.
I've seen a lot of clips like on social media and they're like, okay, if he likes to watch porn, red flag.
Hey everybody, Drew here. Welcome back to another episode of Help Desk. Today, hopefully this episode is going out on Valentine's Day if we got it out in time. And we have a relationship coach, Andrea, and we have Joell, who puts on singles mixes on to kind of help us, to help singles, I guess, get through life as a single person in Singapore. You could call it like a single survival guide for Valentine's Day. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Okay, Andrea, Joel, thanks so much for joining us today ahead of Valentine's Day. Maybe we'll start with you, Andrea. You are a sex,
Love
and relationship coach. Sorry,
Yes.
Andrea, you really wanted me to emphasize the sex part, right?
Yes, because I mean, sex and intimacy is part of dating, right? Or it may come out as part of the process.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's closely tied together.
yeah, and a quick summary of what you do as a coach.
So I work with individuals, couples. I do workshops around topics of love and intimacy. I work through either sexual wellness issues or relationship type of issues.
Yeah, very nice. How long have you been doing that for?
About 8 years to this year's
Wow.
8th year. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Joel, you do singles events. Can you tell us a bit about that? Quick summary about that.
Okay, cool. So I organize mixers for singles. They're like pitch night. So think like Shark Tank but friendly. So
Okay.
my friend Nicole and I have coined the term fishbowl as like a friendly Shark Tank, non-threatening space to pitch your friends or pitch yourself,
Yeah.
get to know each other, have fun, make friends.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's
awesome.
a side hustle for now, but we'll see in the future.
Yeah. How long have you been doing that for?
This would be the third event that I'm doing tomorrow, so under a year. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, I have a quick icebreaker topic or question to start us off with. All of us, I guess, can talk about it. What's the most awkward Valentine's Day you've ever had? What's the most awkward Valentine's Day? Or if you don't have an awkward Valentine's Day, what's the most awkward date you've ever had? What's the most awkward date? Alfie, why don't you start us off?
I always have this in the bag. I had this date. It's awkward for, I feel like secondhand embarrassment, but basically I had a date and we went golfing. And because golfing is 18 holes, right? So it's like a really long date. And he needed to pee. And he like hit a really bad ball and he took super long to go and retrieve it. Yeah.
I don't even know where this story is going.
He took super long to retrieve it. And when like he came back, I was like, oh yeah, why he took so long? I was like, oh, I couldn't find the ball. And then later part of the date, like he admitted that he like just went a bush like behind me to pee. So I
To
thought it was
pee.
like kind of awkward, but it wasn't like a bad date.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it was awkward.
How many dates after that? How many more
Oh,
dates after that?
zero.
That was the last
Zero.
last date.
But
after
it wasn't
that.
about the peeing. I think it was good that he admitted it.
Okay.
But I thought it was awkward. But I think he felt so awkward that
He couldn't see you again.
yeah.
Oh no.
No, because it was such an awkward like he admitted in such an awkward way, and like
So you're saying if he admitted it in a less awkward way,
no,
you
I
would
feel
have
like
given
if
him a
he
chance?
didn't admit it,
Okay.
it might not have like died, because it was going okay.
Oh. But I feel like if he didn't admit it, you would have judged him for taking so long to find the ball.
No, I didn't really think
for
much
for
about
context,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Alfie places a lot of importance on like coordination and being good at sports and things like that. So if he really hit the ball so badly that he couldn't find it, I feel like you would have judged him for that.
Yeah, I wonder if he's listening on this now.
Yeah.
100%.
101%.
100%. Okay,
How about
in the interest of transparency, okay, most awkward date or Valentine's Day, I don't know. Valentine's Day, I can't really think of many, but date, I can definitely think of one where I went on a date with a girl and like, I would say about 80% of the time she was just talking about her ex. And like about things about her ex that like I probably didn't need to know. Like how well endowed he was and things like that.
Oh.
And it was very bizarre. I thought for a second it must have been a joke, but actually,
Yeah.
but it just went on for so long that I was like, no, this person is like serious.
But what prompted it?
I don't know. I can't even remember. She was just okay. She had freshly broken up with this person, or like they had gone through a period of time where they were like kind of in a complicated situation, I guess.
Mm.
So I guess it was really on her mind at that time or in that period of her life. Yeah, there was like maybe one more time we met up, but it was definitely
A
like
lot.
awkward for me.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's a red flag.
I didn't think I could live up to the kind of expectations that she might have had. Joel, awkward date, awkward Valentine's Day.
Wow. Okay, maybe awkward date. For a first date, somebody suggested doing yoga. So I was like, okay, you know, like a cute little active date. Anyway, it turned out to be a couples acro yoga class. So there was like a lot more physical contact than I anticipated on a first date. Yeah. We were like balancing each other.
Wow. Okay.
And because it was a couples class, so the instructor brought us through an exercise to write letters to each other before the class started. Mind you, I had never met this man before, so I was like, thank you for today, for 30 minutes of getting to know me. Before balancing each other and seeing each other's like feet. I was like, very, very okay. I guess it was an okay experience overall, but after that he was like, I think we're better off as friends. I was like,
Whoa. Okay. You
Maybe
didn't
I just
feel like you
couldn't
did that
balance
well at
him.
yoga?
Yeah, he was like, yeah, poor balance,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
terrible handwriting.
That's pretty out there for a first date.
Yeah, so that was
honestly.
definitely a very like also bizarre experience. But
Yeah.
you know what? Props to him for even suggesting that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I still have like pictures of the both of us making like heart shapes with but the instructor was like, okay, can you move your body and make a heart shape? And I was like, okay. Yeah.
Maybe he felt you didn't connect.
I think so, yeah.
You feel that there was that
It's more
chemistry
than,
there.
That's
it's more
fine.
than physical.
Yeah.
Spirit on a
Clearly.
spiritual level,
Spiritual
you were
level.
not compatible.
No,
Yeah.
souls were not intertwined. Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrea, for you,
So I'm typically working on Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Obviously, up
Okay.
to Valentine's Day. So not so much Valentine's Day, and I do have a lot more of other people's stories. I think, but personally, I guess one of the awkward ones that I can remember was it wasn't a date, but it was like I think we were texting on the app, the
Yeah.
dating app. And then he insisted on meeting, and I don't like to meet so early on in the conversation. But he was like, then we won't waste our time, and we'll know stuff. And I was like, fine, happened to be a Sunday afternoon. I was in Yakun and like minding my own business. So I was like, I'm here in this place. If you want to come down, we can have a conversation here. And I figured like it was crowded enough, and there'll be people. So he said, yeah, I can be there in 20 minutes. So I waited for him, and
Wow,
then
he really wanted to meet you.
yeah, no, he really wanted to meet me early on in the
I see.
conversation.
Okay.
And I found out why later, because then he proceeded to tell me about all the failures or the catfishing experiences that he had. And then he's like, in fact, like, I think like girls will never like me because, I don't look like Brad Pitt. And then he just went on and on.
Oh
and
man,
I was like,
okay,
I
like
have no idea.
like trauma dumping on you almost.
Yeah, so I was
Wow.
like, okay, I have to go because I have dinner. And yeah, so he died a natural death. But
Okay.
I think that for me was the most awkward because I didn't know how to, like, what to do.
Did
And
he
now-
know you're a relationship coach?
No, at that point, I was kind of researching the app, and I
Okay.
didn't really give too much details because I didn't feel it with this person.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I tend to not inform people at the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah, that could make things a bit complex, I guess,
Yes.
right?
Mm.
But
Yeah.
imagine if they know your name, they research and like, oh yeah, free session.
But who's giving out last name?
Oh, on dating
Well,
apps?
actually, so
No?
one person matched me,
Mm.
and I found out later because he was like, "Oh, actually, just to clarify, I do know you because I've been following you on Instagram." And I was like,
Oh,
"Okay, who's
okay.
this person, right?"
Yeah.
But I think he was like doing some men's magazine previously, so I think he does like check out
Okay.
Instagram and
Mm,
different
mm,
people.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there are people who know. I mean, if they see me on Instagram, but
Yeah.
But
How did
yeah.
that go?
uh,
Are you weirded out if people know it, like would that weird you out, that the fact that he knew who you were?
Yeah, I was a little weirded out, but he was really nice, great conversationalist. So we hung out and like for 2-3 kind of like coffee / dinner sessions, but no chemistry lah. No
Okay.
chemistry.
Mm.
Okay.
So-
Can I ask you a bit about your work? Because you mentioned it earlier, like that you're normally working on Valentine's
Mm.
Day. So what does
Mm.
relationship or sex coaching,
Yeah.
relationship coaching involve?
So I do a lot of one-on-one, less on one-on-two, like a couples, because sometimes for couples you need both to agree for a session. So
Yeah.
I'm holding sessions, different coaching calls, preparing content sometimes, and this time around I'm doing a bit of sex ed workshops as well. So
Okay.
for teens.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
In schools and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's an international school, so it just so happens to coincide on Valentine's Day. So the whole day is all about that, and I have coaching clients all the way till nighttime. So
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
so it just so happens that it leads up to Valentine's, and I have a little break after that, and then International Women's Day comes
Yeah,
around
yeah.
in March.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And does it involve like, I mean, are you coaching people only in relationships? I mean, obviously apart from the fact that you do sex ed, but like, do you also do like, do singles come to you asking for help?
A lot of singles come to me. So for some reason, I've attracted a whole bunch of like post breakup folks that come because a lot of times when you break up and you can't get over it, or you divorce and you have a lot of issue moving on, there's always intimacy or sexual issues concerned.
Okay.
Or maybe you've been single for a while and you want to kind of get comfortable with yourself and get back on the scene. Intimacy is also part of that, so people tend to seek me out because of these things. So a lot of individuals, and of course in terms of like in the bedroom, in pleasure, they want to be a lot more confident, so want to learn all the stuff before you kind of go in the dating pool again.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you coach them through these kind of things? Like,
Yeah, so we have workshops, but one-on-one, a lot of times it's more around the different issues and layers that come up because of past experiences,
okay.
for them to be more confident.
Yeah.
I get a lot of those who are single. Yeah.
Oh.
Is it like a therapy kind of? I mean, because when you're talking about like past issues and things like that, it
Yeah.
kind of makes me think of therapy.
So it's coaching because there are kind of like angles, and you try and get them from, like I'll usually ask, what are we trying to get to? And it takes a while because sometimes the first thing that you come to me isn't the main issue. For instance, I had someone who came to me it was initially over a breakup issue. She was crying for a whole year.
Okay.
And her friend was like, you really need to stop because
Yeah.
you're 20 plus and you've got a whole future ahead of you. But as I worked on with her through the sessions, it wasn't intentional, but I think she felt safe for it to come up, and she was actually getting over a case where her ex was still in the same company as her. So it was very, very difficult. But she didn't
Oh.
reveal that to me early on.
Okay.
So by the
She
time
was still seeing her ex every day. kind of
yeah,
thing.
and she felt that he moved on and he seemed
Oh.
comfortable. So it all worked out because through our sessions, I mean, we worked on her, but then when she got to the end of all the sessions, we wanted to just get her to a point where she's like happy and confident and can move on. She somehow found another job that she really loved, with a team, like her ex-boss that she really liked working with.
Yeah.
And so everything kind of worked out all together with that. So I'm very particular about working on the person because somehow things around you will line up from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how does one become a coach in this area?
So I did a certification with someone called Leila Martin. She's based in the US, so it was like 1.5 years of like late night calls and a lot of practices. There's a lot of peer practices because we have to practice like on each other. You don't just straight away deal with someone's like deepest, darkest secrets right on. So I worked a lot with my like colleagues in that sense, my teammates, the other coaches. And a lot of them were based in US, Australia, Europe. So it was all Western time zone. So you do a lot of practice. You work on different mind-body practices, learn and study the anatomy, how does pleasure work, how does relationship dynamics work, and things like that.
What
Yeah.
made you interested in it in the first place?
Well, I think I was studying under her, and I mean like taking her personal classes, and I was like, this is really cool because suddenly my relationships around me were changing. I was still married at the time, but in a pretty loveless marriage, and so things were kind of like trudging along, and a lot of things changed around me, like the way I got more confident in making decisions about my relationship.
Okay.
I eventually moved on. And I realized like a lot of things were very interesting. They were not taught in Singapore. Things
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
orgasm and pleasure and emotions. So yeah, I really benefited for it when she opened up the coaching certification. It was the first cohort, and all of us like jumped on it. And then it's been 8 years since.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, very
Yeah.
nice.
Actually, because the course was in the US, right? And most of your peers are like Americans or Westerners.
Yes.
How is that different from, in Singapore? Is it more conservative or?
Well, it's very, very different. So, which is
Yeah.
why the last few years, as I got more comfortable with my craft, I'm starting to look at the Asian lens around it, because Asians are also, it's a big umbrella, right? Like there's a lot, like Asian isn't just one description and culture. And I find that I'm not saying that Western coaches are not good for Asians, But if you don't understand the lens of how the Asian context is, you can misinterpret a lot of things as trauma. So I mean, what happened was we share cases and we learn like through blinded cases. And then one of my peers was like, "Oh, I have this case, and she was caned as a child, so that's why I'm sure she has PTSD and trauma, and therefore she has trouble getting into relationships." And I was like, I don't think that's the case. And I try to break it down. And then I realized, yeah, if you don't have the cultural context, it's very hard to understand.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in like a sentence, how would you describe, the dating / relationship scene in Singapore?
It's
Sorry, tough one.
no. I mean, I looked at different research, and I do work with Bumble at their dating trends as
Yeah.
well. So I do look at the app, and I think when it comes to the dating scene, increasingly more people are being comfortable to ask for what they want. So we saw a shift, and it like really shifted through COVID, where people are like, okay, this is my boundary, these are my emotional needs. There is also less concern with like, I need this exact type. I think the type was kind of important many years back.
Yeah.
And recently I've been looking also at AI and AI companions, and there's also an increasing acceptance of apps in general that maybe tech can kind of help us get there.
Yeah.
Whether it's in terms of dating, in terms of like bringing excitement into the bedroom and things like that.
Yeah. Speaking of the dating scene, Joel, you are doing events for the dating scene.
Yeah.
How did you even start doing this thing? What made you want to start holding singles mixers?
Okay, sorry, but thank you, Andrew, for sharing. That was super interesting. And I think from that perspective, I guess it's a nice segue, because it's interesting you mentioned that people are more open to apps or maybe tech facilities that help in their relationships, because I think for my peers and I, there's a lot of fatigue around apps. Yeah, so I think there's more of an interest in offline mixers, where I think there was a point in time maybe 5-6 years ago where like Tinder was like huge. A lot of my friends met their partners through dating apps, but now I think increasingly people are wanting to go back to in-person meetings. I think a lot of it has to do with the pandemic. So I initially started just doing dinners. So I ran something called Dinner with Strangers that came up after the pandemic. It was it's just a platform for people to make friends platonically, but I'd always been interested in doing something for dating.
Yeah.
So last year, my friend Nicole and I, we came across a TikTok about a group of friends who did this in Vietnam, like a singles pitch night, and we thought, why don't we try an edition here, but have our own spin on it. So we were like, okay, like friendly Shark Tank, so we call it Fishbowl, as a safe space to just meet friends and put yourself out there, rather than emphasizing that you definitely like find a partner or something from it. So yeah, it started off as really just like a fun project to do with Nicole. But from there it kind of grew. I think people started to see the value in it and just see it as a fun opportunity to get together. So we've been very fortunate to have some companies want to work with us. So I've done 2, and then tomorrow is my 13th February is my third one. Yeah.
Were you single when you started it?
Fishbowl, no.
Okay.
Yeah, so happily attached, but I was single for a while.
Yeah.
So I think I was very cognizant of the frustration and fatigue of dating, and the kind of I guess spaces that people were kind of looking to be a part of to try to meet people. Yeah.
We do hear about that a lot, actually, like the fatigue on like apps. I don't know. I mean, are you on the app? You were never on the apps, were you?
I've never been on the app.
Lucky you, Alfie.
Yeah. Andrea, you mentioned earlier that you were using the apps to like meet people, but was it more for work, or were you using it for yourself as well?
Initially it was for work. I did meet someone from there. But I think at the end of the day, I get that a lot. Like people are like, oh, the dating app fatigue, and there is a science, I feel, in terms of how you use the app, the guidelines that you use in app, so that because it's how you use tech, right? Just in general, so that you don't get drawn into the tech and then get stuck in there, and it doesn't really stimulate you, because you're having the same conversations over and over again. So you do need to put some guidelines in. But for me, in terms of the pool of my clientele, it's always about it being just another channel. Like
Right,
how you
right.
could meet someone at a mixer, how you could meet
Yeah.
someone in the lift or the
Yeah.
supermarket. It's just another channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like and it's not easy these days because like, you know,
Mm.
everyone's like going different places and you know there's so many things happening. So sometimes adding one more channel isn't that bad,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Alfie, if you went on the app, how did you meet your partner? Can you say?
Yeah.
Yeah? You're comfortable saying?
I met him at a club.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
For me and my partner. So okay, the reason why I'm against dating apps. You can hate me forever, but
Okay.
no, because I do mention it quite a lot in the office, and my stand is that I'll never be on dating apps. Solely because I don't feel the need to be in a relationship. I think that's the gist of like why I never was never on dating apps. Never really felt it. I attract.
So are you trying to say that people on apps are like desperate?
But not desperate, but like obviously they're looking for someone to either someone to talk to, someone to get intimate with, someone to get a relationship with. I think there's always like somewhat of a purpose, even if they download the app, go on for a while and get bored and get out. I mean, that's fine too, right? So yeah, I never really felt the need to go on the app. I'm pretty extroverted person. So I love like talking to people in real life. Like I love my conversation with like my taxi uncle this morning. You know, like that's my social
About
like,
dating apps.
Yeah, about dating apps. Not the same kind of conversations, but yeah. So that gets my social battery going, and then I'm like,
Okay.
I'm pretty chill with that.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Joel, did you meet your partner on an app?
No, I didn't. Yeah. So we met through mutual friends.
Yeah.
But I was on the apps for a while because I think, as you mentioned, it was an alternative channel. I think like Alfie, I'm also fairly extroverted, so I do like go out and make friends with people. But I guess apps were the easiest way to get to the criteria, you know, that you're looking for a
Okay.
partner. I think maybe that is also why it becomes a little bit frustrating when you're like, okay, I'm putting in all these filters, I want to meet this kind of person and have this
Yeah.
kind of conversation, and it just falls flat. And I actually feel like the organic connection sometimes it surprises you, and that's where it's more unexpected, and you can make connections that maybe you weren't explicitly looking for with like different people.
Yeah.
So yes, I didn't meet him through apps, and I think I'm thankful for that because it kind of restored my faith in like dating, because I was really jaded. I was very tired of like having the same conversations. And I always joke with my friends that I should have just printed out like a FAQ.
Yeah.
Like handed it to, if you're not interested, okay, next.
Yeah.
And I'm also I'm the kind of person where I'd rather meet sooner than later. So I'm actually the man who wanted to meet a Yaku first.
I hate that. So I hate like
Me and her would never
because
match.
I'm very introverted. So
I see.
like the further arm's length I can do a
Okay,
conversation. But to
just-
be fair, the rest of my dating pool, my ex-husband, all these we met in person.
Okay.
So the app was purely for me to understand what my clients were going through. You know, if some people say,
Okay.
"Oh, it's tough," I'm like, "Okay, what is
Why is
going
it tough?
on?" Yeah.
I see.
And I've actually also in parallel I have like a 20-year career in tech.
Yes.
So for me it's also a bit of a geek moment where like I just want to see how it worked, you
Right,
know, like how
right.
the
Yeah.
different parts worked and put together.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean it's just another channel, and but it helps introverts because I don't like. And like one person asked for a video call and I was like,
Oh,
like,
that's actually wow. That's
I
think
would
that's more
rather
intimidating than me in person.
than a video call.
A video
Really?
call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, during COVID, someone slid into my DMs and asked if
Want to
like,
meet on Zoom?
yeah, like first time, and I was like,
Oh,
no.
I had a Zoom date though.
Oh really? How
Yeah.
did it go?
During COVID.
During
did that
COVID.
go
So I
then?
actually ran like a Cupid's like it's like a speed dating thing
Yeah.
during. So that was my
Wow,
first foray
very
into like
entrepreneurial.
like dating events. So I wanted to branch out. No, that was before I started my dinners actually.
Yeah.
I did the speed dating thing on Zoom with my friend, and it was quite funny because I was a host, but then at the end he was like, "Actually, can I get to know you instead?" And I was like, "It's kind of unethical, right?" But I said, "Sure."
yeah.
Anyway, sorry to everyone who attended my event, but after that he was like, "It's locked down,"
Shortchanging
so he
the-
was like, "Oh, why don't we like meet on Zoom?"
Yeah.
And then there's no other option, right? So
Yeah.
we had a really nice conversation,
Yeah.
like a couple of hours, and then we agreed to meet in person like after. But there was just like no chemistry in person,
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
But there was chemistry over Zoom.
I think, yeah, because you're in constant conversation and we only saw each other's like torsos. Not saying that you need
So
to see more for. Okay, well.
The lower torso
maybe-
was like not to your liking.
Quite matched.
The upper torso is good, but the lower torso.
No. I just meant that it's a very like.
Yes, please explain.
Oh, now I'm like panicking. No, I feel like it's just very You're just talking to like a screen. You know,
Yeah.
you can have very intense conversation. I
Yeah.
think it's very hard to tell like chemistry and like attraction
Okay.
beyond that. And I think that it's that in-person interaction.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
to do with any body part, just the in-person interaction and like reading the person's like body language and just how you feel around them that I guess makes you want to see if you want to take it further.
Yeah. I mean, you guys spoke a bit about dating app fatigue.
Mm.
What do you generally hear from people? Is it just about having the same conversation over and over again? Is that what people hate the most about dating
I
apps?
wonder what's the
I think it's the
fatigue, you know?
pool.
The pool.
I think it's the pool of people.
like the good ones are taken.
Yeah, I think sometimes I've heard that sentiment. I've
okay.
also personally felt it sometimes. I'm like, you kind of you cycle through the same people.
Okay.
But then I also realized that they are also cycling through me after, because I was single for like 3.5 years. So I'm like, okay, if I keep seeing them, that means they keep seeing me. And I think the freshness is lost. You're not really actually meeting new people because you're just going through the same faces.
Yeah.
Right.
Conversations wise is still the same. I think there's also not a lot that you can glean sometimes from people's profiles.
Okay.
So one thing I feel about dating apps is that I think people have a tendency to want to present like the best version of themselves,
Okay.
right? Or like a funny version of themselves, but it might not actually be them.
Yeah.
So the authenticity sometimes I feel like is lost a little bit and it comes out a bit more apparently in an in-person conversation. So
Yeah.
this person could say that like, oh, he loves like golf, tennis, like snowboarding and like dogs or something. But that doesn't tell me anything about your personality.
Yeah.
Right. But if I meet you in person and you crack a joke or you tell me something about, your friends, and that's where we make that connection rather than the fact that you like golf, tennis,
Yeah.
whiskey, cooking steak and dogs or something.
My type.
That sounds like a targeted,
Sounds
targeted
like
to
a
all
profile that you have.
Singaporean.
Yeah.
Swipe
That's
through.
like, and also a lot of I think the guys' profiles are quite similar after a while. I mean, can only comment on like
Okay.
the pool of guys.
What are we
in
talking about?
Singapore.
Like topless photos or?
We should
them
move
doing
away
some
from the
sports or
torsos.
something?
I don't
Okay.
have a torso fetish, guys, but yeah,
You've been
I think
tricked
it's
once.
the same few kinds of pictures, like
Okay.
a group photo, like really old photos from like 10 years ago, them doing some like sports,
The
like
template at certain
some
points.
holiday fishing dog ambiguous food photo.
Sometimes the dog's not even theirs.
Oh yeah, yeah, and there's always like the caption like "get you someone who looks at you like this" or like "me and my child" or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, speaking of that
yeah.
pool, I mean, I do remember like I was on the apps and then I was in a relationship for about 4 years. Then, that relationship ended. And then I was back on the apps for a bit. And then I did see like some of the same people from like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh hello.
Yeah,
again."
I hope they're doing well. Yeah. I think they are. Andrea, when your clients come to you and they complain about the apps, what are the kind of things they're normally complaining about?
Actually, when they come to me, they complain more about dating, or rather not
Okay.
that they complain, but like dating is more of the issue, and sometimes apps is part of it.
Okay.
But there is a study, and I should really go search this study because I've actually mentioned this like twice this week already. It was done like research done by one of the apps and in the US. And they were saying that if you go beyond like swiping for like more than 20 minutes or so, you start to get fatigued and then you start to swipe away profiles that you would in person actually may have accepted.
Interesting.
Okay.
So because your brain just
Interesting.
goes into like, there's no one, there's no
Yeah.
one. And
Really?
then at the end of it, you're like, there's really no one. I've swiped through everything. And so there is a like a time frame of how long you can get sucked into it. And it's a
Yeah.
pretty short time frame. So know yourself and don't get, into that like I have to find someone today,
True,
because
true.
next week very free and nothing to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Okay, when you guys are on the apps and you're swiping, everyone I guess can answer this question except for Alfie. What's your filter? Like how do you decide whether to swipe right or left on that person?
Oh, I have a standard list. If the person is covered up face, so like mask and all that, I don't accept.
Sunglasses?
No, I mean, okay,
Okay.
wait, sorry.
Yeah, hard to
Sunglasses in one
tell.
picture, but the rest pictures I can see the face is fine. But
Okay.
if none of the if like all the pictures are sunglasses, I move on.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
What are you trying to hide?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
so,
your
so basically, if I
eyes.
can't see your face, I don't know. And then there are quite a few with group pictures,
yeah.
and so I don't know which one is.
I
you.
love playing this game with my friends where we'll be like, guess who the guy is.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
And often
And it's
you
always the
can't.
wrong guy. Yeah, you
Yes.
can't. You can't.
Does the
Yeah.
order of the pictures like matter to you? Like, let's say the first picture is a group picture. Does that but the rest of them is themselves.
Yeah, I would discount a lot more if
Okay.
the first picture is a group picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, so mostly I mean from the pictures first, and then like if the pictures are okay, then I will look at profile. It's true sports does play does up the level a bit.
Okay. Why? What? Talk me through that a little bit.
I mean, I guess
We're talking about like
Strong torso.
strong
Yeah.
fitness. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't want someone who like I like lazy like afternoons, but I don't want someone who's lazy afternoon every day, right? Like there
Okay,
has to be a bit
yeah.
of balance of both. So
Mm.
I guess some of the sports pictures are nice, but make sure it's a nice sports picture, lah, not one of those like I don't know.
Well, what sport? What sport?
Anything that's non-racket.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
Non-racket.
Okay.
Yeah,
Boo to
so-
all the tennis players and the badminton
Yeah,
players.
so like
Pickleball.
rugby,
Pickleball.
basketball, like can be gym, can be running, can be
How about
different
how
things.
about a gym selfie?
Yeah.
Does that reel
put
you
off?
in?
Yeah.
Not all the time, because a lot of times the gym selfie are I need to check how my cuts are doing today kind of thing, and it shows.
Yeah.
So I think that one's a bit tricky. But yeah, the minute they have like a mask or like I cannot see the face in all of them.
The minute they
I will-
care about public health, you're like,
Yes,
no.
I swipe on. Yeah, so I've actually that's literally how I do it, and it gives me so much like sanity because I don't have to worry, right? Like, should I have not or not? It's just like okay, it doesn't meet the criteria, go.
Yeah.
And then I move on.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then you don't get angsty over it. Like I used to have friends who were, which is why I wanted to study it, right? They would be like so angsty about it, and often the reason is not the app. So like there was one friend of mine, she had just divorced and she was going in and like 3-4 different apps and she was getting so angsty about it, right? And I was like, you need to chill, like maybe just stop.
Yeah.
You know, settle down first. You know, you've been through a rough year. Like,
Yeah.
just deal with your family first, right? And then she was like, no, I have to be like and finally when I really dug in closer, it was really because she didn't want to be lonely. And I was like, okay, so then the issue isn't the app. The issue is just how you are using the app and what you're using it for.
Mm.
So yeah, so I think it's about a bit of balance of both. Yeah. But have clear criteria, then you won't feel like big tick lah, basically.
Yeah. So first thing you're looking at is photo, and then after that you might look at the bio or anything like that.
Yeah, I'll look at profile. There are some that try to be very smart. Like there was one that, I mean, okay, to be fair, I eventually swiped on him because I just wanted to see, do you live up to your profile, right? I mean, and it keep coming up on my what do you call that, feed? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I haven't been on the app for a while. So he was like, what would dating you be like? Then sometimes they have questions and then you
Okay,
answer, and he'd be
yeah.
like, you know when you find out or something like that. What
Wow.
smart aleck answers like.
He really roped you in with that one line.
No, he didn't. But I was like curious. I was like, I want to see if you follow through in
Yeah.
the convo. And his second line in the convo after that, I lost interest already. It was so
Oh,
boring,
wow.
Okay.
so boring, and I lose interest very fast.
Yeah.
I mean, if the convo is boring,
Mm.
and if they ask to like within the first day of chatting, they ask to move out the app and go on WhatsApp. Yeah, that I wouldn't.
No.
That I would just. Yeah.
Even if the conversation is like going really well.
I mean, one day, how well can the conversation?
I don't know,
go?
Well, what's
like,
your time frame for when you can move to WhatsApp?
I think after we meet.
Oh,
After we
okay.
meet.
Like,
Actually,
Okay,
yeah,
so
no, I agree. Like,
that makes sense.
keep it on the
It's
app,
the
and then we
number-
can
the
meet, and
number
then
situation.
after that,
Yes,
I can
it's
give
the
you
number
a
situation.
Got it,
Yeah,
got
it's
it.
like a
Yeah.
personal piece of information.
Yeah, so
you
Telegram
won't give
works
out.
if you can hide your number.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it will be maybe about at least 1-2 weeks of talking.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
fair,
Okay.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Joel, your criteria when you're swiping,
I think
when you were swiping.
a
rather.
good, yeah, no,
Not anymore.
not anymore.
Yeah.
I would say a good bio, something
Okay.
punchy, something funny, witty. Because to me that is an indication of personality.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I look forward to those conversations a bit more.
Yeah.
And I think apps have started introducing like features to get people to have better conversations faster.
Yeah.
So there are like opening line prompts where you are swiping on what the person is already saying to you as opposed to just like pictures.
Yeah.
because to me, I think conversation is a super important thing. Like I
Okay.
not to toot my own horn, but I think I'm a fairly good conversationalist.
You
So
are,
I
you
don't
are.
want to, oh, thank you, thanks, Selfie. Yeah. I don't want to go out with someone who's going to drain my energy or not be able to, bounce off my energy and everything.
Yeah.
So that is important. I think a good smile, like
Okay.
where he seems like friendly and genuine. I think I also filter for certain like specific criteria if I know I'm looking for it
Okay.
at that point in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So it helps to be a little bit more focused.
Yeah. Do you need all these things, or will you, if it has one of those things, you'll settle for it?
I think if the baseline criteria of like whatever expectations I have are met,
Yeah.
like for example, maybe religion or like actually it's just religion. I'll just filter for religion.
Oh, okay.
Then everything else is really just based on the vibe I get from the profile.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so if bad smile but like funny bio, then you're okay to, and obviously the religion, then you're
but I mean, if you're funny,
Funny Christian boy. Okay.
funny, I guess so. Funny Christian boy.
It's not that difficult actually, and it's not that difficult to make the bio interesting, to be honest. I mean, as long as you are kind of genuine about some of the things that you're known for
True,
or
true.
that you're passionate
I
about.
think you're not trying too hard to be.
Yeah.
I think something that I've found to be, I guess, a lot of people tell you to be yourself on like apps or just on dates and stuff. I think what's helpful is more like just don't be someone you're not. Because I think sometimes people try really hard to present like a version of themselves that they think people will like or connect with. And then it ends up like not kind of like falling flat when you meet them in person. You're like, oh, I thought you were going to be like XYZ, but you're actually just ABC.
Yeah.
So.
To be fair, Andrea's thing about like I think mask.
Why are you
That's
hating on
straight-
public
straight-
health?
As in, if I feel like if I
heroes.
cannot see your face,
Yes, true. It's
like
important.
then like
Yeah,
the
we wanna
group
be able to
picture
see.
thing, actually I just immediately swipe left.
Oh.
If the first picture I'm presented with is a group picture.
But I think now you don't even look through the profile. You're like,
Yeah,
she has
no, I
friends.
just-
I don't want this.
yeah, I want someone
I
who
want
has
someone
no
to
who has
social
no friends.
hermit, no friends.
No, I just feel like why make that the first picture?
But
if it was like
the apps now, I think like it's a tech feature where it's
Okay.
an AI feature maybe where they'll present your best photo first.
yeah.
How do they know?
I
Oh.
think based on what people respond to
Yeah.
or like.
So you like set it and then I guess it like
kind of
shows
shuffles.
different
So
people.
not
different
everyone
things.
will see the same version of your profile.
Yeah, I
think.
hate
you
that.
can you can do A/B testing.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
My friend
Yeah.
has actually done that before. So she like set up 2 different profiles, and then interestingly, the one where she was carrying her niece, like a very, I think she was a toddler then,
Yeah.
had more likes.
Yeah. You get a family guy, a man looking for a family.
Yeah, looking for family.
Yeah, as compared to the pole
Looking for-
dancing picture. I'm serious.
Wow, interesting.
It's
So
an
that's
interesting
that's some
experiment.
advice there.
What about yourself?
I mean, people like I said this in the office once, and people were like, people didn't like this at all. But I have a very low bar for like swiping, and then I actually like think about it
Just
before I
like
start the
Has
conversation.
eyes, nose, mouth.
Yeah. Like no mask, no group photo. I think just looks like mildly attractive to me. I'll just swipe.
What's
straight away.
mildly attractive to you?
I don't know. Like what do you mean? Like what? Like not.
What's your type? Do you have a type?
Yeah, as long as they have like
Eyes,
I feel like
teeth.
anything I'm gonna say now will sound bad. No, I mean as long as they're not as they are like of a certain level of attractiveness to myself, I will just. Yeah, well, I mean that's no. She was very attractive to me. My girlfriend.
This
that
is hot seat, not help
Yeah,
desk.
yeah.
He's getting nervous. He's sweating.
No, I just don't want to say anything that people will be offended by.
Why? But it's your preference.
Yeah. Okay. I get.
Basically, you can cut it out. Like
I could. Okay. If the next thing I say is inappropriate, you'll see the transition. The transition here. No. Okay. It's.
okay. So both of you are kind of you deal with similar people looking for relationships. What, especially for Andrea, what do you think is an acceptable time frame for getting into a new relationship after a breakup?
Oh, I always get this question. I kind of feel like you do need some time, because some people are like, it's 1 week, I'm fine, I'll like just, I will just get it out of my system. And I don't have an exact date, so I can't go like 1 to 3 months. But I think that when you are able to not use the last relationship or experience as reasons to why you shouldn't date, or why the opposite party is, like I'll never find someone like that, or I never find someone good like that. I think when you're able to kind of not use that as a reason, the past, then you will be ready to date.
Okay.
But it's very different for a lot of people. I mean,
Mm.
like I said, like I've coached clients who took like a year and a half, right? And it's only through coaching that they were like, okay, now I really move on. But there are some people who like within 3 months, you know, they move on very quickly because maybe the last relationship just wasn't a thing for them. You know, I've moved on like within 3 months, but I've also like been single for years where I was like, you know, I'll take my time because
Yeah.
I just can't be bothered and I like singlehood. Yeah.
You know that thing you said about like not use that relationship as like a reason to, like in the future relationship, right? But isn't that kind of like learning from that? Isn't it? Is there an element of that? You know, I don't want to be with someone who's like this because I know that I've experienced it and it hasn't been good for me.
Yeah. So okay, maybe I should clarify. It's more like don't use the last relationship as an example of why, you know, it's gonna be hard to date next, or it's gonna be hard
Okay.
to find someone that you will really like.
Okay.
Yeah, because then we go back in the pool, and a lot of people who go back in the pool, they're like, yeah, but you know what, like, you know, you'll never be as good as the last person. Or they go back in the pool and like, you know what, actually dating sucks. And then I'm like, okay lah, then don't date. If you know, if you feel like it sucks, then just don't date and remain single for a while. But then, so the thing is, don't use that last experience as an excuse to, straight away predict how your next experience will be. Yeah.
Joel, do you do screening before you let people into your events?
I feel like I'm obliged to say yes.
Yo,
but I
but
think
do you really? Or?
actually anyone can sign up.
Yeah.
You know, like fully.
But do you do
I
any?
think there is a certain I guess it's like self-selecting where people who are looking for like new experiences and are open to this kind of thing would sign up.
Yeah.
But if not, it's like through friends of friends or some kind of mutual connection. So I feel like it won't be too far off from like a regular person. Yeah. And I mean, I guess I am not coming from the angle of like policing who comes for this kind of thing, because it's really just about putting yourself out there and having fun. I think I always maintain that if I feel like they are encroaching on the safety or the comfort of other people, then I will just ask them to leave.
Yeah.
But signing up, no, you can just sign up.
So, for example, someone who just like broke up yesterday could go to your event tomorrow.
I think that's not for me to prescribe, like whether you can or cannot, but eventually your experience will shape, your past experience will shape like how you interact with people. And yeah, I guess if you just broke up yesterday, then you probably will be in a little bit of a funk, or maybe not in the best headspace to meet new people.
Yeah.
And then from there, it kind of will shape your experience. But you can come even if you just broke up yesterday.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to say something about that, right? Because if you are very clear why you're going, like, you know, you just broke up and in your communications with the person, you're like,
yes,
look,
true.
you know what, I'm
Setting
not
your
looking for something
intentions,
serious,
yeah.
but like, I just really need to get over the last space, or I just want to distract myself and just have fun again.
Yeah.
And I think if you're open, it's okay. The problem is, like you said, when you're like in a funk and then you start like you cry on the spot and then you'll be like, the other person will be like, okay, what do I do, right?
I think when you're not honest with yourself about why you're there and what you're looking for. Recently I just saw a friend's she like posted it on her Instagram story. It was basically looking for like a screenshot from someone's profile where it was like looking for a long-term relationship, but then right after that was like looking for intimacy and like short-term connection or something. So I feel like, you know, if you're not even clear about like what you want and what you want to get out of it, then I think you are also shortchanging other people. So for us as the organisers, we make it very clear that it's a safe space, a fun place to connect with others. And I think your responsibility then as a participant is to make sure that you bring that energy into the space, whatever kind of phase in life or loss you're in. Yeah.
Right. Is there like a age range for yours?
There's no, again, it's open to everyone. So if you're like 79 and trying to find love, I will not stop you. But mostly because it's mutual connections and people around like my age tend to sign up. So mid-20s to mid-30s maybe. Yeah, unless I do like an explicit call out for like a certain demographic, then it's usually just been like 20s to 30s. Yeah.
Can we talk about red flags? What are some commonly overlooked red flags that you guys can think of that you've met in, or you've seen people overlook in your line of work?
I can think of one.
Okay.
I think recently there's been a bit of a shift in wanting partners who can who are like familiar maybe with like language of like therapy, you know,
Okay.
emotional, mental well-being.
Yeah.
I think that's important, but I have come across people, and some of my friends have also gone out with people who end up, I think, weaponizing that language
Yeah.
when they have conflicts and they go through certain things where you're like, okay, this person should technically be very well adjusted because, you know, they've gone for therapy, they know how to talk about their feelings and their emotions, but it ends up working against them and it ends up not building up their relationship in ways that they expect. So yeah, I guess I wouldn't say it's a red flag. Like, definitely don't like rule out people who are seeking help, but it can sometimes be to, I think, the detriment of the relationship. I think when you are, I don't know, not I don't know whether, I guess the kind of language that you use doesn't always match with like the way you're actually like doing your relationship.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Andrea, any commonly overlooked red flags?
Commonly overlooked. I mean, because the usual stuff we all talked about, like they talk about their ex too much and all that.
Yeah.
Right? But I
Yeah.
actually have one where it's seen as a red flag, but I don't think, as a coach, I don't think it should be immediately cast as a red flag.
Okay.
So and this mainly coming from girls who are evaluating men.
Yes. Okay.
So you know, like if the men that they date likes to watch porn.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of clips like in social media, and they're like, okay, if he likes to watch porn, red flag. And I would really hesitate to say that that's an immediate red flag for a few reasons, right? One is that, you know, I mean, like the guy's watching porn, but if he's like doing a whole bunch of other stuff, that's a different story. Watching is watching,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and unless you have a very different criteria or benchmark of your relationship, but that you can talk after you date and move more serious into a relationship.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there's an image like, okay, the guy watches porn, so he's, you know, there's all these other negative
Must be like a
connotations.
pervert or something like that.
Yeah, then straight away it goes into that far end, right? Which is
Right,
not
right.
very fair in that
Yeah.
sense. And girls do watch porn as well.
Mm.
So I don't immediately call that a red flag. Like basically at the end of the day, short story is the guy can watch a lot of porn and
Okay.
still be very like kind of faithful to a relationship. I think the main concern is that like he watches porn, he will cheat or he's a pervert.
Yeah.
And that's not a fair assumption.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it ever become a problem though? Because there has, like, as I understand it, there has been research that shows that like watching porn can be harmful, long term.
Well, so there's porn addiction,
Yes.
which obviously is harmful because then it disrupts your natural functioning of your life, or even your ability to have authentic relationships that are built on
Yeah.
the human connection, right? But I think what you meant is more like, you know, if you start using porn as an example of how your intimate relationship should look like, and porn also has different elements sometimes, which is a bit questionable, like violence and things like that.
Yeah.
And if you
Incest.
let that color your all sorts, right?
Yeah.
Some of the genre is really quite questionable.
Yeah.
And you know, like if in real life would be illegal kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when you let these color your relationship or your dating process, then yes, I think that's when it gets to be a problem.
Okay.
If you can't compartmentalize that, basically.
Speaking of red flags, how about someone who is single forever or someone who has been in many relationships? Do you guys see that as red flags at all?
I don't see that as
I
reflex.
don't think so.
Okay.
I
Either
think
of those
I think
things.
it depends on the I think the chronically single maybe not as
Yeah.
much as the jumping from relationship to relationship. I think it really depends on why.
Okay.
If they're self-aware and they're able to articulate and, you know, they've done the work on themselves,
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
So it's not like a job interview. You know when you're interviewing someone, you look at their resume
Their
and then
CV.
you're like, you have
Only
a hole
stayed in this
in
job
your
for 1 month.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think it's not about how long you stayed, but why you left.
Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice soundbite.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Give yourself the applause as well. Very good. Very
This
good.
is-
There's a laugh
Yeah.
track. Okay.
I mean, do you see that a lot, Andrew, with your clients? Like people who have been single or like, you know, the term evergreen.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that red flag.
Yeah.
Basically same reason. It's got to be we got to know the story behind it.
You can see
Okay.
the tagline. It's not about. I forgot the tagline.
You forgot your own slogan,
It was
dude.
so inspired. It came out too fast, but like, but yeah, I mean, like basically, it's just that like what is the story behind that? But the actual fact that there were, the person's been single very long, or the person has been in many relationships, I don't find that directly a red flag.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And I've got one last question before we move on to the questions that are from our audience. That is, what do you guys think is the major cause of people being single in 2025?
It's only been 2 months into the year.
True. On the 2024 to 2025. In the last few years, what do you think the major
The
cause
last
of
2 months was
people
because I was Chinese New Year.
being people eating too much,
Yes.
too little time for dating, too much time for family? I mean, the reason why I'm curious about this question is because you spoke about different channels. I would argue that it's never been easier to meet someone
No.
now than it was previously. So why are people still finding it hard to get into relationships?
I think I don't think it's a year specific thing. I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
a season specific thing. Like,
Okay.
I always think that they're like windows where people kind of like break up. I think now a lot of people,
Oh,
breakup season.
interesting.
But also, I think now, at least for my age group, like late 20s, I think a lot of people are in fairly like stable relationships. So if you find yourself like single now, maybe if you're looking to date someone around your age, you might not immediately find it. But I don't know, maybe in a few years' time, in another season, that's when people are more open to meeting people. Yeah, I think it's a season in life kind of thing rather than specific to. I think Year of the Snake is supposed to be quite hot for
Is it?
relationships, right? I don't know.
Okay, yeah, snaky stuff.
I didn't know about it. But I
I
didn't know
actually
about the
don't
Year
know.
of the Snake.
Don't quote me
I
on
thought
that.
Year of the Dragon because got more option. No? More babies born that year. So
we
technically-
just
yeah.
passed. Oh, we're still in the Year of Dragon. Tomorrow's the last day.
Oh,
No,
really?
today is the last day.
Oh, today's the last day. Sorry, if you're trying to look for
11th February. Or did you say 12th February?
Today.
Oh, today's the
12th
last day.
February. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why are people still single? Okay, so like you said, I mean, for you it was seasons, but I think for me is the type of people I meet. So
Okay.
obviously I meet a lot of people who come to me, go dating is very hard, right? So
Yeah.
so that is a lot of the people that I interact with. I do feel that a lot more people are single by choice.
Okay.
And it's they're comfortable,
Yeah.
like no, I don't have to get married by a certain time. So
Yeah.
I do feel that the by choice, that just because they want to be single, they're busy. I have a lot of friends who are like, I'm just too busy. I want to build this business and I want to do this thing. I want to concentrate on this part of my life. So I'm single. For the ones that come to me because they find it like really hard, I do find that a lot of it is also that they feel it's hard because they have a timeline and they have like a
Okay.
specific idea of how it's supposed to be. And when you have so much expectations on it, it almost works against you
Yeah.
in the opposite way.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like they say with sand, you don't grab the sand, and then like if you grab it, it will spill or
Yeah.
something. And then like if you like release your hand, it will like stay in your hand or something like that. So I think it's something. It's a little
Don't force
on
it.
those lines. Yes.
Don't try and really don't be desperate. I don't know.
That was
That'll
the
be another
takeaway.
tagline. Yeah.
Don't be
Yeah,
desperate.
Don't be
Not as
desperate.
whoa.
Don't have a specific idea that it's got to be like this. It's got to happen this way. It's got to look
Yeah,
like this.
I
It's
think
got to happen by this time.
Just being open opens yourself up to
Yeah.
things more.
So
Okay.
less romanticizing romance.
Yeah, because dating's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be hard. The dating process,
Yeah,
like you're trying to get meet
true.
someone
Supposed to be
and
fun.
you're trying to figure each other out. Like, do you like me? Do I not like like things like that? Or you're trying to figure out activities together. That's why the mixes are very like interesting because it's like fun activities that you never thought could be used to interact with
Yeah.
someone new.
Yeah.
So like that whole process is supposed to be fun. It's
Yeah.
not supposed to be like,
A drag.
yeah.
Do you think it becomes a problem when it becomes too like agendered?
Oh
Like
yeah,
dating?
for sure.
For sure.
So you guys would like advocate for like a more like just kind of see how it goes kind of
Oh.
thing. Because I grew up in like a very Christian like household, and like it was always like when you like
Shout out
see
God.
people, shout out to God. when you start dating or courting someone, you must do it with like purpose or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's still incredibly important, even in a secular context,
Okay.
to enter into something with intention. But intention could be different. I think, like we mentioned earlier, right? If you just broke up and your intention is to just hee hee ha ha and have fun, then let that be your intention. If you are looking for something a bit more long term, a bit more serious, and let that be your intention. I think it becomes a challenge when you're not clear of what you want. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I think intention makes the dating process a lot more enjoyable actually for the both of you, because what makes dating not fun sometimes is the confusion and the not being able to read the other person,
Yeah.
not being able to, you know, ascertain like, oh, do they like me back? And, you know, I
Mm.
think that's what
Mm.
makes it kind of, yeah.
Okay, before we head to the questions that you guys have submitted, if you are at home, if you're watching this right now, if you have a question, if you have some weight on your chest that you want to relieve yourself of, you can write into us at that link that's on your screen right now. You can find that same link in our show description. Write to us there, and hopefully we'll get to it one day. Maybe you'll get some helpful and useful advice to make that decision that you're thinking about. Okay, let's head to the questions that our audience have submitted. Are you guys ready for it?
Yes.
Okay, I think it'll be fun. This one is from someone who is using the pseudonym Lovestruck. Lovestruck writes, "We matched on Hinge and have been speaking more than a month, but he still hasn't asked me out. What does it mean? We matched on Hinge, have been speaking for more than a month, but he still hasn't asked me out. What does it mean?"
He's talking to too many other girls.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do
I
you-
didn't think of that.
Either
Yeah,
that
yeah.
or you have been skirting around the topic, and sometimes you just need a direct question. But
Mm.
my first take would likely be he's talking to a few other girls at the
Yeah.
same time.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's a so? Would you stop talking to this person, or I don't know? Would you directly say like, "Hey, are you going? When are you going to ask me out?" What would you advise Lovestruck to do?
I think it depends on their own approach. Like if they're okay to be direct, I would say if you like the person enough, just go for it.
Mm.
Be like, hey, why don't we grab drinks? I mean, what's the worst can happen? That you guys don't meet or you guys don't connect.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't continue the conversation for more than that, because
Yeah.
I think eventually it has to happen offline. So I wouldn't think it as a good sign.
Okay, from my perspective,
That's the only
and I don't
male
represent
here.
I don't represent all guys, but this is what
One
this is
sample
from my
size.
own experience.
Mm.
I don't
Some
think
people
he's
just-
that into you.
Yeah.
If you've been speaking for a month and you haven't like he hasn't asked you out, he probably isn't that into you. I think that's from my own experience.
But
Because
why would he keep talking to you?
bored, I don't know.
Oh.
Options.
yeah,
Options.
honestly.
Options.
Okay,
yeah.
I can think of one experience I had where like a girl kept wanting to meet, and like I didn't even know why I continued talking to her. Not that there was anything wrong with her per se, but I just wasn't that into it.
Mm.
And then like I just kept putting off like actually meeting in person because I
Mm.
thought like, oh, this would be awkward. I don't know. Maybe I want to suss this person out a little bit more before I do anything. And then she finally just asked me like, why is it so hard to meet? Why can't we just meet?
Mm.
And then kind of after that, I was like, oh, sorry, I'm just really busy. And then I slowly like stopped replying.
So
yeah.
if he says he's busy, he's not
Not.
actually busy.
Yeah, I think if someome's really into you, they will just make an effort to like meet
Yeah,
up with
true,
you, right?
true,
Like
true.
that's been my experience. I
Yeah.
don't know about
Yeah,
you guys.
I mean, I kind of see like you're like a little bit skirting around that part. Like, you know, he's not into you. But the truth is that might be the case as well. I mean, but you can always ask and see what the reaction is.
Yeah.
But it's not personal. Even if he's not into her, it's not personal because sometimes it just, you know, no chemistry means no chemistry.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
like, don't force it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
don't take it personally. I mean, seriously, you all
Mm.
just been texting.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
far.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay,
How to talk to a guy who just rejected you. He is quiet and introverted. I still like that guy, but I'm unable to initiate conversations with him. We train taekwondo every Saturday together. My friends and I said I probably still have a chance with him. In taekwondo, there's pairs, and there's a high chance my coach would put us together. He has shown some interest by showing concern when I was injured or on holiday. And to be honest, I really, really like him. And I think there's still a story uncontinued between us. So, what advice would you give to Ren?
who wants to talk to a guy who just rejected them? Wow.
I be honest, I wouldn't talk to a guy who rejected
Yeah.
me. Like, that's the end. It's uncontinued. Like, let's
Hmm.
end it.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like she's writing a lot of story behind it.
Okay.
I would say don't read too much into it. Don't read too much into the guy that checks out your Instagram story.
Yeah.
Just because he checks out your Instagram story, just because he asks you how are you, doesn't mean that he likes you.
likes you.
Yeah.
I mean, like likes you enough to take it to something
Mm.
else. So there's a lot of story that she's writing at the back. I would say maybe pause that for a while.
Mm.
And if you still feel hurt about being rejected, then just don't talk to him for a while. There's so many other people in the class.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you don't even know whether the coach will pair you up. You see, there's so much story in that
Yeah.
sense. So just take a step back. And you can choose not to talk to him for a while if you're triggered, or just talk about normal stuff.
Mm.
But when you do talk to him, go with the mindset that all these other parts that she kind of filled in the question, assume that that's a story and that is
Right.
unverified.
Okay.
This kind of reminds me of my conversation with my girls, like the Delulu. Like, oh my god, he texted me first. Like,
Yeah.
He
like
liked
he
my
liked
Instagram
me.
story.
Yeah.
He
He
like
checked out
us.
all
He-
my stories.
checked-
Today I put out 5 Instagram stories and he checked out everyone.
But did he send any fire emojis to your story? I think
that's the thing.
that's the real question.
Yeah, and I guess like to the point, like she was saying, oh, showing concern when I was injured. Maybe he injured
I think he's just a
her.
decent human being.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, people do that. Like, I show concern to everybody.
yeah.
Yeah, well, and I don't have romantic feelings for all these
Mm.
people.
Maybe you should stop doing that.
Yeah, I
Maybe you should stop leading women
I should be
on.
more yeah. Oh my gosh, what have I been doing? No, but do you think if someone rejects you, do you think that should be the end of it? You move on? Because I always hear stories about might hear. I've heard and know people who are like, oh, I was rejected at first, but I kept at it, and then sooner or later, they realized I was the one. I don't know.
I just had an interview with this guy on the streets. We do like hit the streets, and he told me that he liked this girl, and he like rejected her. I think like playfully, and he chased her around the school.
She rejected him.
Yeah,
and then
she rejected him,
Yeah.
and then he chased her around the school, like, and then she said okay.
How old was this guy?
Like, no, like
In his 40s.
Yeah.
That's a whole different story.
16 and up. Yeah, he's like
Like a teenager.
yeah,
Okay.
but
And now the
Ah,
girl is like
yeah.
chained up in a dungeon
Yeah.
somewhere. And her parents haven't seen her in days. Yeah, I
I
don't
was
know
like,
what.
whoa, okay, like
I
some people's no's might not be a no.
Yeah.
I do not endorse that message. I
Okay.
think no means no. I think you can. I think just accept his rejection at face value. I think
Right.
exactly what Andrea said. Don't read too much meaning into it.
Yeah.
I think the best thing you can do for yourself now is to give yourself some space and just tell the coach that maybe you don't want to be paired up with him. And if there's a natural opportunity to revisit the friendship, then you can be open to that. But you don't need to manufacture interaction with him. And
Yeah.
yeah, just don't read too much into like, oh my god, he drank his water next to me. Like, we're gonna get married.
He asked
No,
me
he's just
how
thirsty.
Mm.
Actually, I have a question, like maybe a follow up. What if someone says not right now?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Then
Cool.
what would that situation change?
My suggestion is, my response is no. My response will still be the same. Just don't read too much into it. Yeah, not right now means not right now. Look, there are a lot of stories where, they talk about like, the timing wasn't right, and then like 3 years later, something, you cross each other on the road or whatever.
Right.
And then, eventually worked out.
Yeah.
I get that. There are a lot of stories like that. But when at that point of rejection, just move on from that. And if it's, and I know it's a bit soppy and a bit like, because like that's not how like I'm coaching, I'm supposed to get you to a end point, right? But sometimes if it's meant to be, it will work out, right?
Yeah.
Like you can start off on the really wrong foot and then you can still work out. But yeah, don't force it. Like you said, I like the phrase you use, don't manufacture interactions.
Yeah, very good. Okay, shall we move on to the last?
Yeah.
The last question that we have. I'll do this one. This one is from someone named Confused Little Meow Meow. All real questions, by the way. And can I say that we've never had more submissions for questions than when we put out this call out for relationship stuff. So thank you guys for submitting. So this one from Confused Little Meow Meow. I'm a little tomboyish and quite red flag, I guess. So I think I can't make a guy get attracted or interested in me. Well, I'm very aware and tried to change, but I'm not happy. Should I be myself, open parenthesis, happy, close parenthesis, or change, open bracket, not happy, close bracket? I'm so done with guys not choosing me at the end of the day. Maybe I should stay single then. But I'm already in my 30s and feeling old. Sad life of a 30s female in Singapore. What should this person do? What should Confused Little Meow Meow do? Should they be themselves or should they change? What do you guys think?
Do you have something? I felt like it was coming out and then I didn't want to interrupt that train of thought.
I think I've thought about this because I think oftentimes people struggle with that piece of advice of like, be yourself. And it's precisely when they are themselves that no connections happen. So I really empathize with this person. I think it's challenging when being yourself feels very isolating.
Yeah.
But I think my encouragement to you is that you should continue to be a version of yourself that still feels authentic, but maybe, put yourself out there a little bit more. I think do things that might feel a little bit unfamiliar or uncomfortable. And as long as you're not pretending to be someone you're not, I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like dating and putting yourself out there is kind of like exercising a social muscle.
Okay.
The way like going out with your friends, like going to the gym, and if you don't exercise it, then you'll never really get to use it. You'll never be good at it. And part of that exercise comes with doing things that might not always feel like you. So nobody's asking you to like revamp your wardrobe or like change the way you speak, because I think those are inauthentic, like unsustainable changes. But I don't know, maybe picking up like a new hobby that will help you meet like-minded people, or trying out like, I don't know, different ways of like, I don't know, styling your hair or something that still feel like you, but would open up opportunities for you to meet and talk to different kinds of people who will like you for you. That's my advice.
Andrea, I mean, you're a coach and you have a lot of single people coming to you. Would you ever advise someone to, change something about themselves to meet other people?
So I like the whole idea about kind of putting yourself out there and trying new things that may not feel like you, but in an authentic way.
Yeah.
And I tend to lean on the side where if it's change for change sake, then don't. Because you don't want to put up a front, meet someone, and then have that person meet you at the level where you kind of like are trying to mask yourself at. You want someone to meet you at your level, right? Because I mean, it's got to be sustainable and it's not something you can keep up. I've known someone, this is not my client, but I've known someone who was desperately looking for waterproof eyeliner because she didn't want to the current boyfriend to see her without makeup if they go through the shower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like and for me that was very heartbreaking because she was like 30 plus and like intelligent woman, great job, great career and everything, right? So I think you want to be able to, if whoever you eventually meet, you want to be able them to meet you at your level. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what I'm hearing from the question is she's confused little mama is also kind of has a lot more, it's harder on herself than everyone else is. So I think that maybe is the first thing to look at. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. I mean, if you really took yourself out of the game before you joined the game, then naturally it's a very hard battle for you. So don't like I mean, she's really taken herself out in the beginning, really like I have a lot of red flags. Says who, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
She said quite red flag, I guess.
Well, I think also I think she mentioned that change is already going to make her unhappy while changing herself. I would say maybe reframing that would also help, because I think the moment you anticipate change as something unwelcome, then you are also setting yourself up for failure, I guess, if you start dating. And I mean, if you are self-aware that maybe there are certain areas that you yourself want to work on first, then take some time to maybe address that and then go out there and start dating again.
I find it interesting that the first thing she mentioned was like the tomboyish thing, which makes me think that maybe she feels like it's a looks thing that makes people like, takes her out of the game in that sense. But I would say that like there's something for every, like as in there's always someone who will be into that. Like, I don't know what is it, like a tomboy thing, like short hair? I don't know. I was into girls with short hair at one point in my life. But also, like, I feel like in the end...
Thank you for sharing truth. Confused little meow meow.
I mean, hit me up, confused little meow meow. No. Like, we were speaking a little bit earlier about, like, coming for looks and then staying for personality or something like that, right? And I do think that that in the end is the most important thing, like, is when you meet someone, it's not just about them, like, looking like what you dream that person to be, but, like, can you have a conversation with this person... long term? Can you do things with this person? Can you see yourself doing things not sexually related, but like activities with this person? Can you see yourself like having the same interests or like going out and sharing the same kind of values with this person. So I feel like those kind of things are like way more important than like how a person looks. I think long term. Obviously, like when you're just out dating and like trying to meet people, a bit makes life a slightly harder if you're not conventionally attractive. Yeah, there's something I wanted to say about that, but I completely forgot. Yeah, so don't feel like the pressure to change who you are, because I think like we've been talking about, like being authentically yourself. In the end, if you're putting on a facade,
Yeah.
then like
It'll
you're gonna
catch
get
up with
tired
you,
of that.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
you're
get
gonna catch
tired.
up. Like you feel like you can't take off your makeup in the shower or something like that. That is
that's really sad.
Yeah,
heartbreaking.
that was really heartbreaking because I could feel like being in a relationship was more important for her than anything else.
And
then-
feeling like she could be herself. And
Yeah,
do
so
things.
or like feeling like you can have fun in a relationship and things like that. So I mean, I would kind of say don't be so hard on yourself
Yeah.
in the beginning, and also I think that there's an idea about conventional beauty, which a lot of it is perpetuated by media, but you meet so many different people. There's so many different variety of people, and I think when you're more comfortable with yourself, it's also a very naturally attractive quality, and that will come out in the people you meet. Like I said, people meet you at your level, and they will like you for who you are in that space. So yeah, so I would say don't be so hard on yourself in the beginning, and don't take yourself out of the game before you even start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I remember what I wanted to say. She had a bit in there which said maybe I should stay single then, and I actually do think that if you feel like you could be happy single, don't force yourself to be in a relationship because everyone else is in a relationship. So yeah, if you feel like you're happy the way that you are and you don't feel like you need to be in a relationship, don't put that pressure on yourself. I think that's pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anything you wanted to say about To
No.
Confuse Little Meow Meow?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. I think that's all the time that we have. Where can people find out more about you guys? Andrea, where can people, if they want your services as a coach, how can they hit you up?
I'm on Instagram, TikTok, at the Athena Rising. So THE then Athena Rising as
Okay.
one word. And maybe Xiaohongshu soon, but
Ooh.
Wow.
coming
okay.
up, coming up.
Getting those TikTok refugees, I guess.
Yeah, no, getting the Chinese market.
Joelle, where can people find out about the events that you're putting on?
For my dinners, you can go to dws.sg on Instagram. I don't have a page for Fishbowl, but yes, I post about it on my personal account, which you can find through my dinner account.
Okay.
So yeah, you can find it from there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, you guys, for coming down and for being so generous of your time and your perspectives. And thank you to the audience for joining us this Valentine's Day. Hopefully, it could keep you guys company if you didn't have anything to do. And also, thank you to Audio-Technica for powering the audio for this podcast. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.